Hello, this is the latest LEGO City mobile construction crane. This comes with 1,116 pieces. I built it live during a charity stream over on Twitch. I'll talk about more at the end. This cost me $110 US. At maximum extension, the total length of the boom is around over 25 inches, around 65 centimeters. Or if you take this all the way up to maximum elevation from the ground, you can reach a height of around 27 inches, a little over it, or 70 centimeters. The set includes 4 minifigures, and the sample cargo included is just a porta potty. We'll look at those later. The first thing you build is this cab, which I think looks fantastic, and it includes the 3 axles here. That's all just one unit and ultimately gets very simply connected to the rest of the main chassis rail. This has just the major sticker there on the side, which unfortunately the stickers in this set don't match the yellow perfectly. This is a print here for the caution stripe, and of course you can put 2 figures in the cab. This is where the prime mover engine is intended to be, and when you lift this cover, you can see kind of a suggestion of one. There are also 2 clips on the back here to hold on to some minifig accessories. The next chassis segment just has 2 axles, and then you get to the core, which has these large outriggers. Now, by default, the feet of the outriggers are kept separately, and this just works like this. It just folds straight in. There's no up and down. It just locks into 2 studs over here. This thing is very strong, has little suggestions of hydraulic rams on the inside that just gives it a little bit of friction so it stays in place. And these do actually work. These do help to support the whole crane in operation. The next segment has just a single axle on it, and that is directly beneath the main turret that rotates around. And then back here you have the rear outrigger, which again just folds straight in. You're supposed to take the foot off, and looking around the back of this, there's how the rear detail is done. Not a whole lot of useful stuff. And that's because most of the parts in this are dedicated to usable functions of the crane up above. Not a whole lot of nooks and crannies for doing little stuff. The counterweights back here don't actually really do much of anything. They're a bunch of bricks, but they're mostly just for looks because they are ultimately just pieces of plastic. They do not have a lot of weight in them. I strongly recommend trying to do something custom that puts weight back there, and I'll show you why very, very soon. This is interesting. The cab can be rotated out. That's to get easier access while you're building this, and also if you want to take it apart. But the cab itself is pretty simple. This just opens up, and you've got a couple suggestions of joysticks in there. On the other side are 2 wheels and tires, and the tires are there to give us humans traction to actually rotate these. This is the main winch for the main line, and thankfully they use this nice braided cord, which is very, very strong, very smooth, doesn't kink up easily, and it's fully synthetic. You can burn the end of it when you cut it down. You can just put a little flame to it to fully seal it up conveniently, and they give you plenty of it, so you don't have to worry about tying the most perfect knot down at the base. They give you plenty of excess, which is great. So that just runs here. And then this one runs an entire gear train that goes through the whole thing for extending the boom. Let's come back to that. First, let's come over to here. These 2 things represent huge hydraulic rams. So these are the cylinders, these are the pistons here. But if you know Lego cranes, you know that this is the entire extended boom of a standard size Lego crane. Now, this isn't able to move right now because there's a pin in place. There's a pin that you can pull out very easily and put it back in. That's to lock it in place. So now I can adjust the height of this, and it ratchets. So it goes to specific points along the way, and wherever it stops, you can put this through and hold it in place. So that's now going to be very strong. They also give you a spare one of those over here that just gets stored on the side. It's very impressive that these simply represent the elevation rams for the whole thing. They're attached in the most interesting way with this whole Technic structure in here, and then using like old antenna pieces with the anti-stud at the base to lock it in from under here and from the top. And that connects into this modular boom segment. There are 5 of them in a line, and I thought it was the same old one that they've been using for years, but it's not. It's smaller, it's smoother. I believe it's a more durable or a tougher material, even though there's not as much material used. I think it's a tougher resin blend, and it has a channel on the bottom to move things through. So you got a channel inside of it for your inner extension, and then you've got this extra area down here to connect things and also to pass power through. In this case, that axle right there is passing power to this Archimedes screw segment, which in turn is turned by, all the way down there, this knob. So that's what this is for. There's a bevel gearbox inside, and you can see right here there's a friction adder. They just add in one extra gear with a axle pin with the friction on it so that this moves more slowly. And that's just turning that axle right there, turning it, and that in turn is biting into this brand new piece. Well, it's new to me. I've not seen this piece before. It's interesting. Little 2x6 piece anti-studs. So, or excuse me, inverted. So it's actually connected into anti-studs on the base of these bricks here. And that's what gives purchase in there. So it's brand new. Well, again, new to me, part that works with the Archimedes screw piece and allows all of this to extend in and out. You get a little bit of wobble while you're doing this, but ultimately it works smoothly. It works pretty quickly, and you get to pull this all the way down in. Now, as you do that, the line, you're getting excess line. So this is now extended out quite a bit. This has a block and tackle. So you've got the 2-to-1 mechanical advantage there, because as you pull on this, see, you're only pulling from one side, which is good. That helps it to move more slowly. And this looks like it is weighted. This also has the ball cup at the end, so you can swap that out for other things potentially. And this all just goes through there. The other end of the line is attached up here with a modified 1x2, and that just gets directly attached on with just its studs. That's all that it needs, because it's not going to pull off there. And that's pretty much it for the mechanisms of this thing. So again, operating the main winch, slow retraction, and then operating the extension, slow extension or retraction there as well. As you bring this in, you gain more line. And as you send it out, you lose some. So you do have to be careful if you have this fully retracted up like so, as you then go to extend the boom. And this is just normal. As you then go to extend the boom, you're going to not have enough line here. So watch out for that. Make sure that you don't put excess strain in here and start stretching or breaking things. And when it's fully ready to be on the road, you actually just hook the hook to the bumper, little spot for it there, and tighten this up slightly so it doesn't swing around too much. There we go, get it a little bit taut, and now you're ready to go. Now it's fully portable and ready to run. None of these tires are able to rotate. There's no articulation within the chassis. Excuse me, they're not able to turn, so there's no steering involved with this in its stock form. I'll leave it to other people to destructively test the absolute limits of what this thing can carry at its maximum extension with the boom at 45 degrees and less and fully up and all that. There are a lot of things that you can do to make this look tougher than it actually is. There are also things that you can do to make it look less tough than it is, depending upon the angles and how you set up your test. But suffice to say, it is capable of holding a ridiculous amount of weight with an asterisk. That asterisk is visible to you right now. Do you see it? See this angle here versus the angle of the chassis? I'm gonna relieve the load. There we go. All right. Now I'm gonna let the load back on. And this is not at maximum extension. This is not at 45 degrees. With no load on it whatsoever. With the boom closer to 45 degrees and fully extended, this is still how much deflection you're getting down there at that center main turntable. It's a lot. I am concerned about that. Again, this is with no weight. As soon as I put some actual weight on it, and let me not do this. Let me not do this. Watch down there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, from a certain point of view, this is the only thing that you're supposed to be lifting, because it's the only cargo that's included. This porta potty, porta loo, porta john outhouse thing sticker there on the front opens up, uses just door frames for the entire body of it. And inside you have the widest scale, minifig scale toilet paper ever included in a Lego set right there. Brand new design. Here are a couple of the minifigures. These share their torso designs. The orange color is the newer reddish orange, and no alternate face for this one, but there is one for this one. And here are the other two with the printed legs used here and a different torso design. You get one of the blueprint tiles there. You can see what that represents from this year's lineup. And once again, one alternate face. Here are the leftover and extra pieces, so they give you a couple of hair pieces to swap in if you want. Not something for everybody to not be wearing a hard hat. Nice to get the extra 1x1 hazard stripe prints there. This is what the sticker sheet looked like. I think most of this was fine. A couple of them could have been skipped optionally, but we can always decide to do that. But it is too bad that the yellow is not a good match to the flame yellowish orange of the plastic. Again, I paid $110 US for this thing. 110 euros is the retail price, 95 pounds UK or $140 Canadian for 1,116 pieces. And I think the value is perfectly fine there. I have zero problems with the value because a lot of these parts are large and just the amount of stuff that is here is very good. And for 110, I'm perfectly fine with it. No complaints. My only complaint is just that it doesn't come with actual weights. Obviously, we can add our own counterweights, but we kind of need to because that's a lot. That's a lot of bend down here. Now, yeah, it's strong enough, and yes, it can lift the other mobile crane. Got that. Doesn't make me feel any more comfortable about this down here. Even not having a weight on the end of it, just having the arm out, or the boom out, which you want. You want to see if you have this thing, you got the space for it. You want to see that out. That's much of its power as a thing. That's much of its value as a thing is how far it can reach and just how big it is in total. So you want to have that out, and it's already bending things down here. If it never breaks, if nobody in 10 years down the line, people take theirs apart after having the boom out with the porta potty on it and everything, and there's no permanent damage to the parts, great. That's what I hope for. That is 100% what I hope for. Doesn't change the fact that today, right now, I am uncomfortable about this. Really uncomfortable about it. It's not the way Lego's supposed to be. It's odd, but that's my only complaint. And add your own weights to it, and that problem goes away. Cool. Build really nice, really interesting, different techniques. Some shifts in their approaches to how to put things together. It's very interesting to see. Plenty of cord, thank goodness. Far cry from the old days when a lot of builds would take up every single bit of string, and if you didn't tie the shortest, tightest, perfect knot with nothing left over, then you were just out of luck entirely. So lots of good with this, And speaking of good, this right here, this load that I've got on it right now represents Stand Up to Cancer at standuptocancer.org. If you're watching this video before the end of August, there is a Tiltify link down in the video description. We've been raising funds, got a whole team effort, over 60 people working together on Twitch and a little bit on YouTube across Lego builders and makers and crafters and some gamers as well. These stickers here, sorry, I'm not going back and forth between the different camera angles that everybody likes that I've been doing lately, because this is just too big. It just doesn't really show up on other camera angles. I don't have any other cameras that will show all of this, but each of these represents huge donations that we've gotten. We've gotten some offline. Thank you so much for hitting that link in the video description to go to the Tiltify campaign. It means so much. Stand Up to Cancer. We've had actual people come through who are cancer survivors. We've had some who have been directly impacted by the work of Stand Up to Cancer itself. They make the connections between the science, the research, and ultimately the patients. They get treatments, they get clinical trials actually affected, actually working, getting people who have cancer being treated by the latest experimental treatments and experimental approaches to treatment to have less negative impact on people, more positive impact, and they are curing cancers. Medical science has come so far. This is an organization that is helping to facilitate that and make sure that it is as effective as possible, as so many of us have been either directly or very closely indirectly affected by cancer. Way too many. So thank you very much for everyone who has been so kind to support this campaign again. It's going through the end of August, and the main push is through August 18th. And I've been streaming every day, doing the best. And again, so many people have been doing their best around the world for this effort. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Hope that at least I've brought you some value, even if you don't agree with my personal opinions on things. At least I've shown you some things that help you to come to your own conclusions. Bye for now.